You are watching Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Stone Shields. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be spending some time talking about the safety position for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think really overall this offseason through free agency and the NFL draft, the Bengals have addressed most of the needs on their roster, but the safety position is one that has not been addressed. We're going to be taking a look at some guys that are still free agents, haven't signed with a professional football team, perhaps somebody that Cincinnati could bring in prior to training camp to provide a little bit of stability at the back end of that safety room. I'm going to be breaking down a few names here on today's show. But before we get into that, make sure you guys share today's video for me if you haven't done so already on any social media platform, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. It works for us. Boston said got to get our shares numbers up here in the month of May. So help us out. Going for over 15 shares here on this video. Just trying to get the word out there to more Bengals fans that aren't necessarily tapped in to what we're doing here at Bengals Breakdown. So this is what the safety depth chart looks like right now. The Bengals very clearly are running it back with Geno Stone and Jordan Battle as their two starting safeties. I thought Geno Stone was a guy that they should kind of explore cutting, right? Cincinnati has a completely different viewpoint there. They are bringing back Geno Stone, really hoping he can channel some of that energy he had back in Baltimore in 2023. And I think we saw a little bit of that from Stone at the tail end of 2024, albeit against weaker competition. Jordan Battle is that next safety there as well. You also have Tyson Anderson in that room, who is your special teams ace. So there is some intrigue about perhaps whether or not he could contribute as far as a safety on the defensive side of the football. But as far as I'm concerned, really a position that needed to get addressed and didn't get addressed. But I understand the Bengals obviously were busy taking care of other stuff. Taking a look here at the top highest paid safeties in the National Football League. Be very clear here, the guys we're breaking down here on today's show are not going to be anybody that is on this list, right? Cincinnati, of course, is at a spot in their offseason where it is May right now. So if you're available as a free agent in May, obviously there are lots of red flags that come with that, whether it be injuries or just lack of production on the football field. So the names that we're going to be talking about, not somebody that we're going to find on this list. But every time I see this list and I see Jesse Bates the third up there, it does not necessarily bring a tear to my eye, but it does make me a little bit emotional thinking about what it would be like if he still was here in Cincinnati. Leads to the pin comment of today's show. Do the Bengals need to add another safety? It's late in the game here, obviously, in May, but do you want to see Cincinnati add somebody to that safety room? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Type Y for yes or N for no. Of the names that we're going to be talking about here on today's show, Justin Simmons is by far the biggest name, one, and the best player as far as I'm concerned on this list. Simmons, of course, most recently played with Atlanta. He is getting up there in age, obviously, and he's kind of at the point in his career where he's signing these short contracts, and he's doing it kind of late in the ball game and going out there and seeing kind of what he can do out there on the football field at this stage of his career. But I do still think he has some juice. Obviously, when he was playing with Denver, he was, in my opinion, the best safety in the National Football League. I still believe there is a little bit of that in him that hopefully the Bengals could perhaps bring out of. I said before on this channel, I would love for Cincinnati to go after Justin Simmons. I think it really would help with the development of Jordan Battle as well if Cincinnati were able to bring in a veteran like Simmons. I got a lot of love and respect for Justin Simmons. Unlikely Cincinnati makes that kind of move, but he is at the top of my list. Julian Blackmon here is next up on today's show, and he's probably one of the younger guys we're going to talk about here on today's video, only 26 years of age. The reason why he is not signed to a football team is because some injury concerns with Julian Blackmon. Actually, it was reported that he suffered a torn rotator cuff in week 1 of last season and actually was able to play through that, but there is some issues there with his shoulder. Again, a younger guy. This is a guy that played his collegiate football at Utah, was a third-round pick by the Indianapolis Colts in 2020, and certainly intriguing. But again, all of these guys on this list have a little knock on them because they're still obviously available at this point in the year. Jordan Whitehead next up here on today's show. Whitehead won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay and Tom Brady a couple of years ago. He was a fourth-round pick by Tampa Bay in 2018. Spent several years there, a couple of years with the Jets in 22 and 23, and also back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024. Now, he suffered a serious neck injury in a car accident that actually placed him on the non-football injury list, so there's some concerns there with the health of Jordan Whitehead, one of the reasons he is still unsigned at this point. We'll continue with our potential safety targets for Cincinnati here in a second, but do want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Fanatics. Let you guys know that Bengals sideline hats are out now. They are available now. Obviously, the draft is in the rearview mirror. The draft is in the past, but that doesn't mean you can't get some Cincinnati Bengals draft hats, courtesy of our friends over at Fanatics. That's chatsports.com/Bengals Draft Hats. We are going to put that link in the comment section and the description of today's show. One last time for you guys, chatsports.com/Bengals Draft Hats. Marcus Williams next up here on today's show. Marcus Williams, of course, has spent a couple of years with Baltimore. So there is some, potential awkwardness there between the AFC North, but not something that Cincinnati hasn't done in the past. Obviously, Mike Hilton originally started out with the Pittsburgh Steelers, had a great career here in Cincinnati. Williams is a guy that really was benched a couple of times last year, kind of restructured his contract, and then ultimately the Ravens decided to move on from him because there were other guys in their secondary that were playing better football than Marcus Williams. The question with him is whether or not he still has abilities in the gas tank. He is 28 years of age, was a second-round pick by New Orleans back in 2017 out of Utah as well. Make sure you guys hit that sub button if you haven't done so already at youtube.com/BengalsTV. Our next goal here on the channel is 19,000 subscribers, in which we are rapidly approaching, trying to get that within the matter of the next couple of weeks. So help us out. Don't miss any of our coverage here. Hit that sub button for me right now. Couple of more guys to discuss here on today's show. Rayshawn Jenkins, he is 31 years of age, most recently playing with the Seattle Seahawks in 2024. He was a 2017 fourth-round pick by the Los Angeles Chargers, played a couple of years there, went down to Jacksonville, played a couple of years there, and as I mentioned, played 2024 with the Seattle Seahawks. And, there were some issues there with his production, obviously, on the football field as well. Kind of got beat out, really, last year by Kobe Bryant, kind of taking over that spot at that safety position for Seattle. So he struggled to stay on the field due to production. Why he's, still available right now, maybe Cincinnati and Al Golden and that defensive staff can get the most out of him. Name a free agent safety you would like to add. Get that name for me down in the comment section of today's show. Or if you're just chilling, you're fine running it back with the safety room, that is okay as well. Regardless, get your thoughts for me in the comment section right now. This one's intriguing. Apart from Justin Simmons, this is the biggest name on this list, Jordan Poyer. He is 34 years of age, and I thought he still showed some signs of quality football last year with the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, he was a stud with the Buffalo Bills for several years prior to that, but he was able to get through the entire season playing in 16 football games for the Miami Dolphins. He is an unbelievable leader and locker room guy, so I think that veteran presence, if he could come to Cincinnati, would be unbelievable for this football team. Obviously, at this stage of his career, he is trying to win, and if I were him, I would love to play with Joe Burrow. Jordan Poyer, certainly a potential target, but as mentioned, he is 34 years of age, and his future is definitely uncertain at this time. Also, Quandre Diggs here on today's show. Quandre Diggs at one point really was a good football player for the Seattle Seahawks. He's 32 years of age, and he kind of has slowed down a little bit in the recent years. Most recently played in 2024 for the Tennessee Titans, and he currently is a free agent. Some injury concerns there with him as well. Obviously was released by Seattle, but at one point he was a Pro Bowl safety. Does he still have much left in the tank? I am not sure, but again, another veteran to this room, or bringing in a veteran to this room, I should say, probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you're the Cincinnati Bengals.